Hi, Alan Stratton from Woodturning. A few months ago we had Mike Jackofsky demonstrate at our club meeting. He turned a nice hollow form out of a burrow wood, and yes, you can put your finger in and feel that it's smooth inside. Well, I decided to make my own hollow form. In this case I dressed it up with a Celtic knot, a 3-loop Celtic knot, and well, I'll challenge you to put your finger inside this one, but let's have some fun making this Celtic knot hollow form with a very small hole.
For this project I chose a small Celtic vase as a hollow form. The dark wood is Russian olive, the light wood will be maple. The end grain had been sealed, but there are still some small cracks, but not too bad. Rough turning is rough turning. I'm using my bowl gouge since it is always handy. Now to trim the ends of the spindle and cut a mounting tenon on the live center end. For a tenon I typically use my spindle gouge and polish off with a skew. I do like the rich color of this wood, maybe more red tone than walnut. There is one crack that I still need to keep an eye on. With the wood now mounted to a chuck, I waste away some of the length and most of that crack area, then cut another tenon on the opposite end. I take a moment to drill a 1/4-inch hole for the neck hole. I thought this hole would come in handy for later for alignment. In retrospect, this was simple insurance against possible unfortunate events. Next, proceed to cut the outside profile, but leave it slightly larger since I will need to trim it later. I want to leave a lot of wood with the mounting tenon. After the top is shaped but still a bit large, I cut a small sacrificial tenon on the neck. This I will remove later after all gluing is complete. Now I trip to the bandsaw. The wood, still in the chuck, is mounted to my 3rd generation bandsaw sled. Meanwhile, I hot melt glued 4 alignment guides around the wood. Each guide had a hole for a dowel, but the dowel has been removed for the sawing operation. The blade tension is checked for maximum. I feed the sled through the saw at a very slow pace to minimize any side pressure that would bend the blade. With the first side cut, I loosen the sled to insert a spacer. The spacer shifts the chuck and wood about 0.15 of an inch. Then slowly push the wood through the saw to make the corresponding cut. This removes an exact amount of wood. The objective is to keep the wood grain aligned. Earlier, after gluing on the guides but before making the first cut, I made lines on the guides at inch increments. Now the 2 pieces of the project have been pressed together using the guides. I now measure the distance between the previous markings to determine how much wood was cut away. This is 0.15 of an inch. With this measure, I can prepare the maple inserts to fill the gap back to the amount of lost wood. Hollowing when a different wood has been inserted at angles to the base wood is a bit more difficult. To alleviate that, I'm drilling with a 2-inch Forstner bit. Since the face to be drilled is slanted, drilling seems to be the safest way to do some rough hollowing. I drill both pieces. Next time I would drill only about a 1/4 inch deeper into solid wood. I can go deeper later when I can assess more dimensions. I glue the insert to the base wood with epoxy in 2 gluing episodes. In the first, the insert is glued to one side of the base wood. Which side does not matter. For the second episode, I test the piece with dowels in the guide pieces. If wood or epoxy blocks the dowel, I can glue the guide piece again. Then glue both pieces together with the insert in place. Back to the bandsaw. The wood is back in the chuck using markings that indicate where jaw number 1 is. The sled has markings at 15 degrees. I rotate the disc 8 marks for 120 degrees and clamp it together with the spacer removed. Again, make the cut very slowly to avoid blade distortion. Loosen the sled, insert the spacer, and make the corresponding cut. To my gluing station. Again, glue on the insert wood. Check alignment and correct any errant glue or wood. Wait for the epoxy to set and glue on the opposing pieces. I use a gram scale to measure the epoxy according to its instructions. This takes about 1.2 grams each of resin and epoxy per joint side. With the dowels inserted, alignment is easy. A clamp ensures it is held together, but more on this later. Since this is a 3-loop Celtic style knot, I'm back at the bandsaw. Again, after rotating the disc another 120 degrees, I slowly make the next pair of cuts. Don't forget the insert and when it is in or out. I'm very careful to keep my hands away from in front of the saw blade. At the end of the cut, I do reach around the blade by a generous margin to catch the offcut. I like my sled. It can make both straight cuts and arcing cuts. However, I am getting slightly ahead of myself. After the insert is epoxied to one side of the project piece, this is my chance to do the final hollowing. The plus is that I am not hollowing through that tiny neck hole. The minus is that the face of the workpiece is slanted and the inserts are crossing through the interior at odd angles. A Forstner bit again cleans up the interior. I had thought to use an insert fitted to the interior side. This did not work. Now's my chance to fine-tune the hollowing with a box scraper and a round nose scraper. I do have to be careful starting each cut into the slanted face, but it is not too difficult. Once into solid wood, it is a standard hollowing effort. However, I have to guess how much wood to remove. After all, the objective is to make the vase lighter. No one will ever put their finger inside to test the finish. After all, who has a finger that small? One piece of one of the positioning guides flies off. No problem, I still have 3 others with only one remaining glue session to go. The pieces are now epoxied together and the epoxy has set. I've tried various ways to remove the guides, from trying to soften the hot melt to bandsawing them off. I'd settled on removing them on the lathe. It is wild work cutting a lot of air and pieces of the guides flying off. Do I remind you regularly to wear your face shield? Additionally, make sure your face is out of the danger zone. With the guides gone, I can refine the shape, being careful to not cut too deeply. The outside profile must not intersect the interior, and sand. I need to focus on the bottom portion and how much wood to leave at the base while keeping in mind how much I hollowed out from the interior. Then thoroughly sand. I think a couple of coats of wipe-on poly will be nice to highlight the wood colors and grain. Finally, part it off from the waste wood at the chuck. How come we have to do one of the most risky, at least to the project, things when everything else is complete? Once the remaining wood is very thin, I remove the live center and carefully cut it completely. A bit of sanding with the sanding disc cleans up the base. My Celtic knot style hollow form vase is complete. The vase is light with only a small hole. How did he hollow through that tiny hole anyway? My bandsaw sled did its job. It is 3rd or 4th generation. I have not kept good track of the versions. The chuck adapters are available on my Etsy site. I do thank Dave Landers for his inspiration to this generation of the sled. I will need to readdress using the clamp when gluing because it shifted the rotation slightly, throwing the line alignment off slightly. Meanwhile, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my website in addition to subscribing YouTube. When you subscribe to my website, I email when there's a new video, which is more reliable than YouTube's wandering algorithm recommendations. Please share my videos with your friends. I keep these videos short and to the point to respect your viewing time. I always appreciate your comments and questions, and please wear your full face shield whenever the lathe is running.